Now, this is a video that I would never think I would have to make because now we had to discuss a defective 2023 Dodge Challenger Scat Pack Widebody that A, should have never passed quality checks at Brampton in Canada, and B, should have been immediately bought back by Dodge. But Unifor and Dodge has felt this customer because his car has been sitting in a body shop for a month, awaiting his fate of either getting the entire rear end of the car cut off and replaced, or being a simple buyback from Dodge because they sold him a defective car. And what if I told you this whole ordeal that the customer is still making loan payments on this car that's not even safe for public roads? Now, before we get started in this video, I want to go ahead and tell you my 32,069 friends and 80% of you guys not yet subscribed, that if you need an attorney to help you guys with situations like this, to where you're driving an unsafe car, you're having a diminished value claim, or let's say that these dealers have been having you forge MSRP documentation and you need some help, some legal advice, legal counsel, my friends at Gordon & Partners have set up a special email address for you to email them to help direct you into situations like this. So you can use my email address there, butter@fortheinjured.com, and they will point you in the right direction and give you a free consultation for you to figure out exactly what's going to happen and help you get you the help that you may need. Because on this situation with this particular customer, this is exactly the kind of help that he needs. So let's go right straight into this video and let's go to this section. Now, I did give TK's Garage a heads up on the particular problem because the more people that get this out in the open, the better off the customer's going to be, because apparently, you know, just going through Dodge to get a buyback is just such a hard thing. But we're going to learn this particular problem together. Now, here we go. The customer laid this out in a nice PDF form with all the stuff, all the contacts and all the nonsense going on, and even all the forum posts and all the emails. So this is what I love about this particular customer right here, that he has laid out step by step everything that went wrong with this situation. And we know exactly who it is who caused this situation. So here we go. Define the problem. A brand new car has a major manufacturing defect. My car has a weld bond failure. The robots at the plant must have ran out of glue, so my car's body is making squeaking noises. Probably because the actual adhesive glue that bonds part of the car together is not bonded because somebody forgot to, put glue back into the robot. And this is the first problem that I have with this situation, because if someone is getting the bodies off the line where the robots have glued them together and welded them together, and they notice that, hey, you know what? This robot is out of glue. Maybe you should check the last vehicle that the robot was working on. And I would think, because I know people who actually work in the actual adhesive department where they go in and they either glue or they silicone or I forgot that, fluid or, whatever it is that they do to the bodies. I know those guys go through in there and they go and look all over the place, because there's still some people who actually do manually go in and glue seams, stuff like that, or what, seam sealer. So someone missed the ball on this one right here. We're going to go through the rest of this, but I'm gonna give my commentary, but let's go ahead. Making body squealing noises. This could potentially be a security issue as well, because without the bonding, the low pattern of collision energy can be disrupted. So basically, if someone hits him, all the panels supposed to be glued together aren't, and where it's supposed to be a proper crash safety zone might not exist anymore because the car is not glued together properly. But let's continue. To fix this, the entire back part of the car needs to be cut out. The metal has to be cut. The repair estimate provided by the dealer is over $30,000. Stellantis Dodge wants me to go ahead with the repair. Now, none of you guys really know this, but I've taken a auto body class at my local community college several years ago, and one of the classes in there was auto body estimating. And pretty much any time for a new car where someone has to remove quarter panels or cut off the entire back half of the car, that's an automatic total. Like, they're not going to fix that. But for some particular reason, for a Scat Pack, even though this $30,000 repair is going to be basically half the value of the car, For some reason, Dodge wants this guy to actually get the car repaired. And like I said, the customer, he gives out the case number, he gives out the actual car, the VIN number, pretty much all the people involved, all their job titles. He literally lays out every single person's name involved in this nonsense. And so we'll skip over that because honestly, Huffins did exactly what they needed to do. Huffins identified the problem, they presented him with the issues with the problem, and they went and started talking to Dodge, and Dodge has rejected them and want them to repair this vehicle, which, you know, honestly, I don't know why anyone would want to repair this vehicle. This is where it's at. Let's go to the details. I took delivery of my 2023 Scat Pack Widebody 6-speed manual Plum Crazy Purple from an out-of-state dealer. He took it from Tempe Dodge at Tempe, Arizona, a couple days before Christmas. The first drive made me hear a weird squeaking noise right when the car wheels started rolling. So let's see, let's just go based off of this. So based off of this customer, the first drive he takes, he hears this weird noise. So the dealership gets this car, does all the PDI checks and stuff, and apparently no one hears this. The car, when it's at Brampton, it goes through a check, basically right before it hits the body shop. It goes through a check on final assembly. It goes through another final check after it leaves the final assembly. It goes to like the buzz, squeak, and rattle. I don't know if Brampton has buzz, squeak, and rattle track, but I know that Shap does. Pretty much all the Ram trucks go down the buzz, squeak, and rattle track for them to reproduce sounds, and then they go get a little dyno test, and then they go to like the little water test where they get basically dunked a bunch of water on to make sure there's no leaks. So I don't know whether this car went through all those checks or not. If this customer heard this crap when he first drove the car, how did the person who drives off the line at Brampton with the window, well, I think the windows are open. So I will give him the benefit of the doubt. But someone drove this car out to that lot, and this car was making this sound. Someone had to hear the sound when it got placed out in the lot. And then all of a sudden, no one just oblivious. Nah, we don't hear this crap. We don't hear it till the customer gets in the car. So to me, honestly, this is on Unifor that they basically put together a defective car. It went through all their checks because, you know, apparently any email you get from Dodge, they'll tell you, hey, the car's in final assemblies and final quality checks. We're holding these cars for, you know, extra quality checks, blah, blah, blah. As many times this car is probably driven, for 9-10 miles, no one heard this car, but he heard it the first time he drove. First drive made me hear a weird squeaking noise. I called in the warranty within 2 days and dropped the car off at Huffington Dodge on December 24th, day before Christmas. The day after Christmas, the dealership, I guess the lady's name is Rose, called back saying that the head mechanic was able to replicate the problem. Oh, let me go back down. And apparently this was a body issue and has to go to a body shop. However, the body shop will not be able to take the car before the first week of February, probably because they was busy, and they gave him a date of February 5th. So this guy has this car in December. He has to wait 2 months. Basically a month and some change. They did figure out noise heard rear area at window is a body creak that need to go to the body shop. ETA on the schedule is 2/5. And you gotta love these timestamps. He got a timestamp right here of Thursday, December 28th. We have the vehicle at the body shop and found the noise in the right rear is where the body components meet and are typically bonded with body adhesive. It is not a structural integrity point, but it needs to be better secured. We don't want to cut out these components because it leads to body and structural part replacement and would show a body repair on the Carfax. We could weld around the junction point and secure everything without a replacement. This is where we start our efforts to resolve the noise. We're reaching out to you to make you aware and to approve so we can proceed. Please let me know. Now, this is one thing where I say that this part has me concerned because I understand that part of this repair is not a structural area, but the problem still does remain that you're going to be trying to bond together a car that's supposed to be bonded at the factory. If the car is hit a certain way because not properly bonded, who is going to basically take that responsibility? What's going to happen to the person? Because if that car gets repaired and is not repaired to the actual quality factory standards, the car gets a rear end accident on the right side, who's gonna take responsibility for something happened to the customer? Is the dealership gonna take responsibility because they're the ones who repaired it? Is Dodge gonna take responsibility because they're the ones who sold him a defective car? Well, not really Dodge sold him a defective car. When, you know, it's not like Dodge employees see the car before they actually make it leave the plant. This is actually Unifor selling him a defective car, because this falls on Unifor. Because I know for a fact that there are some times where some of these supervisors in these unions, they'll just let problems just slip out the door, and they'll be like, to send it out, it's gonna be a dealer issue, and they'll just do like a warranty repair on it. I know this happens. Now, I haven't seen this on Unifor's side, but there's no denying that if there's an entire section of a car that wasn't glued together, you probably should see that glue, because if the dealership could see it, Unifor should have seen it, especially when there's no carpet in the trunk. I'm just saying, I called the Dodge customer service on Friday 2/16, and I was assigned a case number. There goes a case number. The representative named Elderly, and she said that someone at Dodge customer service was going to give me a call within 1 business day. Huffins Dodge Plano service manager called me and said there was missing essential body adhesives from the factory that holds all the body panels and components together. This was a manufacturing defect. Hey, where my DM170 at? Oh, we're doing extra quality checks. This is a manufacturing defect. In order to help rectify, they could do the following 2 things. Weld around the area to try to secure everything. So we're gonna do basically a bootleg repair to hope that the stuff don't rattle apart in the future. Or number 2, take out all the body components of the car, which would mean cutting up the car and doing extensive body work and reassemble the backside of the car all together. This will generate a Carfax report showing extensive body work what was done to the car, and of course, my car will lose a lot of value since it's on the Carfax report. Thomas also mentioned in these situations, my best bet is to reach out to the selling dealer and talk to them to see if their district manager can provide me a trade assist so I can get my car replaced. I took his advice and emailed the selling dealer on 2/16. I also got in touch with Charles McFarland on Saturday around 11:40 a.m. and Charles asked me to send over the case number that Dodge gave me the prior afternoon. I told him if he could work with his district manager to get some trade assist, and so he can get my car, he can take my car back and replace it with another black Challenger Scat Pack that he already had on the lot. Charles told me he was going to talk to the district manager and find out. Wow. So the guy was being totally cool about this whole situation. Like, hey, you know, can y'all guys buy this car back and trade me another Scat Pack that you guys already have? He wasn't being let's say, he wasn't being a difficult customer. Like, hey, all the crap happened to this brand new car. Give me a Hellcat. Give me a Red Eye. Give me a Super Stock. Give me a DM170. No, he's one of the Scat Pack. But hey, woohoo. Around 12:30, Dodge gave me a call. A lady told me that I should just get the car repaired from the service and dealership, which I definitely do not agree with. I explained to her the entire story again, stating that the welding was not the right fix for the issue as my car was missing actual body components. Hearing my concerns, the lady said she was going to forward my case to the buyback department and that someone from there would be in touch with me by Wednesday. I waited out Wednesday and no one called. Then on Thursday afternoon at 1:42, I called Dodge back and spoke with their customer service, asking for me to talk to the buyback department. The customer service person told me to allow them one more day and call me back on Friday if I still haven't received any call. The customer service person told me that the buyback department pushed my case back to the regular customer service and that she could see a case manager was supposed to call me back later in the day. In the meantime, my local dealership service manager calls me and says they will put my car back together because it seems like they are not going to do any work for the time being as Dodge has not reached out to me. So I called customer service at 3:30 p.m. and the rep tells me to wait until she reaches out to the case manager. She was able to finally get a hold of the case manager. The case manager, Chris, told me that he got assigned the case 5 hours ago and he had no idea about my case. He wanted me to explain my case yet again. So I fully explained to him the options that were given me by the dealer. And I mean, you can see this guy's beginning to run around for a while. And a lot of times when I do my videos, I edit as I'm actually making the video. So this video is already about 20 minutes in. And looking at this indicator right here, I'm just getting like maybe a third of the way through this whole story. There's a lot of stuff to unpack from the story. So let's skip around a little bit. Let's see. So after hearing me out, Chris, the case manager, tells me that the buyback department does not reach out to customers directly and that they had rejected my request altogether. Dodge's buyback department rejected his request for them to buy his vehicle back. I'm pretty sure there's receipts that his car gonna cost about $30,000 to fix. And we've already got emails from the daggone dealership saying they gotta redo his body because it's a manufacturing defect. Wow. So Dodge doesn't buy back manufacturing defect cars. And we're supposed to buy a Charter Daytonas that has battery packs in them. He counters by arguing that my car had already depreciated because I took it to a body shop. Which that doesn't make any sense because you can go take it to a body shop and get estimates all the time. That doesn't mean that it's gonna report, hey, you got a car report because you got an estimate at a body shop or something. Right. I told him that no work was done. Then I asked him how he feel if the same situation happened to him. He told me it had nothing to do with him and that my only option was to agree with what the local dealer said. That sounds like some BS. And Chris, you need to maybe not be working at Dodge anymore if that's your answer, honestly. Basically, he told me to go screw myself. He also asked if you don't pick the car up from the service and dealer, then you will incur storage charges and your car can be towed. These were his words verbatim. Not for once did he try to understand what is going on or if the dealer is even saying. I asked him if I could speak with a supervisor. He said there was no one above him. I asked him if there was a vice president or the division head that I could speak with. And he said, sir, there is no one beyond me and those positions do not exist. Your option is to go ahead with what repair shop has recommended. Let's see. So the district manager, Trey, said he could see there's something they can do to replace this car, but there is no promises that they could do anything since he did not buy the car from that district. Let's see. Trey said he was going to be looking internally to see if my case had gone through the proper channels and see if he could do something to help out, although the person in the car was outside of his district. So I called Dodge again on the 26th. I was on the phone for an hour and 1 minute. I've already read this. And basically, he wanted to get a new case number. And then he was talking to the guy. Then all of a sudden, the guy that disappeared, put him on a survey, and that was it. And no one never called him back. So here goes my man again calling back on 11:55 to get a new case number. The lady who took my call said there was no new case number and that she wanted me to talk to Chris. And he's basically said, I'm not doing that again since this dude told him that he's basically God and no one's above him, blah, blah, blah. And then she said she could do for me to get Chris a supervisor, which oddly enough, now Chris has a supervisor. I wonder if I can get his information. And that someone's gonna call him within one business day, which he agreed to. Now remember that Chris had mentioned to me on Friday that there was no supervisor. Yeah, I guess Chris is not the CEO of Dodge that I thought he was. I didn't know his name was Chris Kaniskas. Overall, this is a terrible experience. I just made my monthly payment of $1,046 on a car, which I wasn't even able to use the past 22 days. And since day one that you had this car, you noticed there was a manufacturing defect. So, you would think that Dodge would either postpone your loan, because I seem to recall a situation that I had a Hellcat back in 2017 and I took delivery of it. And then within the first week, I had the intake on the hood fall into the car. So I had to go take the intake in the car to get fixed. And I also noticed the car was outside, it was raining, I noticed rain was coming in to the driver's side of the car. So I took it back to the dealership and I had them fix the weather seal. Then when I had them fix the weather seal, the dealership nicked the door panel. So I had to get the door panel replaced on my Challenger. And then when I got the door panel fixed on my Challenger, I noticed that somebody had tore the little boot for my gear shifter, and I had to go take it back to the dealership again to get that fixed. So all in all, within the first, I think 30, 40 days, my Challenger was in the body shop. My Hellcat was in there for maybe like 30 out of 40 days. I mean, I literally had that car for a month and I probably only drove maybe 15, 20 miles, and it was in the body shop for like a month. And I went and called SRT concierge And they literally asked me how much was my car payment for that month. I think it was maybe like, I think my car back then was maybe like $700-800. Wrote me a check and sent me a check in the mail. And I got, basically reimbursed for my car being in the shop for pretty much an entire month and got damaged multiple times, right? The intake going into the car, the weather seal, the door panel getting replaced, and the freaking, the boot for the shifter. I'm pretty sure it was the boot for the shifter, and I think my little console panel, all that had to be replaced because the person scratched my car up again, right? So it's like I had to wait maybe 2 or 3 weeks for that door panel because that was like the first model. I think that was like right there near the beginning of the model year, and they didn't have that many replacement door panels. So I had to wait for the plant to build me a door panel. But I got reimbursed. So I don't know how in the world, I guess Stellantis doesn't do the same thing that FCA did. Because I thought that was pretty cool. The FCA reimbursed me for my vehicle being in the body shop for almost an entire month. And this guy, they don't even offer him that, or even be like, hey, we're going to delay your loan payments for like 3 months. We're going to defer them. We're going to throw you 3 months on the back end of the deal. Like none of that stuff was even offered to him. Let's see. This basically some talk on Challenger Talk. Basically the mileage information. Apparently the repair cost is $35,000. And the car only has 1,400 miles. That is wild. Thank you for providing information. Escalated the case. So go to case number. Let's scroll down. He got a call from that number and found out that Chris was my case manager yet again. He calls me and tells me that he really wants to help now. Oh, now he wants to help. He has seen my video that I shared with Dodge Cares at challengertalk.com, and that he did not realize that on Friday 2/16 that the bodywork was going to be this intrusive. He says he had messaged his higher ups. That now all of a sudden he has higher ups because when he had his foot in his mouth, he didn't want to believe the customer. And let's see, he messaged his higher ups to take a second look at my case. He also told me no promises. He then went on to tell me that apparently my selling dealer and service and dealer have all the authority in their hands to fix the situation for me. Apparently the guy but the district manager can take care of my situation. And this is where I'm gonna call BS on this, because the last time I checked, dealerships do not make cars. Dealerships are not responsible for manufacturing defects. Because I did not know that Rick Hendrick makes Challengers. I did not know that Arrigo Dodge makes Challengers. I didn't know Greensboro Dodge makes Challengers. I didn't know that Mac Hake makes Challengers now. Apparently now dealerships make their own cars. So I don't understand how the dealership can resolve the situation when it is technically an issue that Dodge created. All the parties at the dealership acknowledge that this is a manufacturing defect, and everyone has communicated, and there is a bill circulating that, hey, the whole back half of this car has to be replaced. Being concerned, I tried to call my case manager, Chris, and he said that the buyback department had denied his request for a second time. Apparently he was trying to explain to them how the situation was. I wanted to second him the repair order and quote from the dealership that detailed out what needs to be done. Chris then sent me an email, which I replied to, and I'm pretty sure if we go look at that estimate, it's going to basically say that it's $35,000 and all the parts that it's going to take to replace it. I reached out to Stellantis Financial Services, spoke to Vernon Miller, and he told me to reach back out to Dodge and confirm that the phone number, blah, blah, blah. He also told me that I am responsible for the loan no matter what happens to the cars. And like I just said, Dodge basically with SOT Concierge back in 2017, when my Hellcat was in the shop for like a month, they basically refunded me my first month's payment. This is how bad Stellantis is. Like, I don't know if there was people who works within Stellantis now that is this bad. Like, I don't know whether or not the people who work within Dodge now have been replaced by some buttholes from Stellantis. And it's kind of odd that given this crap going on, that there wasn't an offer to basically throw maybe like 3 months payments on the back end of the deal. Because if he took delivery of his car, I don't know whether or not it was like 90 days deferred or whatever, but this guy had to pay like $1,000 already for this nonsense that is already insane. Well, if anybody else want this particular PDF with all this information on there, I pretty much showed everything, so you can take this from the video if you want. But this basically shows you how crazy this situation is. A vehicle with a bona fide manufacturing defect So I'm not even gonna say Dodge, I'm gonna say Stellantis. Stellantis will not buy this vehicle back. I'm seeing conversations in this PDF where everyone keeps saying Dodge is normally a friendly company, that they will buy a car back like it's nothing. I mean, I've heard of stories from other people where their paint was simply like a portion of their car was simply repainted and Dodge bought the car back. And this right here is a thing where the back half of his car has to be replaced and they won't buy it back. I have to believe that these a-holes from Europe had just turned Dodge into like one of the worst companies in the world. I'm not even gonna put this on Tim Knissis because Tim Knissis cannot be the person we cry to. We can't cry to daddy every single time every other person in this damn company does some really shady stuff, right? Tim Knissis does not man the customer service line. He does not man concierge. He does not man the buyback department. He does not man the limit department. There's so much stuff going on. I have to believe, just from my conversation with Tim Knissis, he will be pissed off this escalated at this point because he generally does care. And it seems that Dodge cares, doesn't really care. This is something where it should have never escalated to this point. This is like one of those things to where if a car has a very bad problem, we cannot trust that Dodge will do a buyback of it. We're about to go through a time period where we're gonna have Dodge Charger Daytonas with these big battery packs, 6,000 pound cars, and these Hurricane vehicles, and you cannot have the trust that Dodge will buy the vehicle back if there's something wrong with it. Unifor can put this car together wrong, and we're supposed to take these suggestions that this guy has. Hey, we're gonna weld this car together in an experiment, or we're gonna redo the whole back half of the car, and there's no guarantee that we're gonna do a factory quality repair on the car. And we're supposed to buy a 6,000 pound car with a battery pack in it, and if something is done wrong with that car, something is welded wrong on that car, you're sitting on a 100 kilowatt bomb ready to go off. I mean, if you go see EV fires, these things can go off just by sitting there. If your car in the future, your Charger Daytona, a car they never made before, and the Hurricane engines that mysteriously keep getting pushed back, will you buy these vehicles not knowing whether or not there's something that, if something wrong with it, they'll buy back?